the dog was a guest at the back of the room, so after she walked in, we stood at the back. Ever so good, sat there lovely, he was having some chicken and some sausage, and he was sat really happy that we kept looking at him, and they started talking and doing vows. And just when the registrar said, does anybody know a reason why these two should not get married, he howled. Everybody burst into laughter. But the bride, she came out afterwards, and she came out and she was like, Kate, that was amazing. I don't know how you got him to do that on cue, but he just completely got rid of all my anxiousness. And it just happened at the right time. I was like, I didn't do anything. Just take ownership and get planned everything.
Hello again, WEDPOD listeners. We're back with episode 4 of WEDPOD, chatting all things wedding planning to help you with the best day of your life. Today we chat with Kate Bagshaw of BOW-Tiful Walks and Weddings about having those little furry friends at your wedding. We're talking pets, nothing else. Listen to the latest episode and be sure to subscribe to hear when the next one drops. Enjoy!
Here today with Kate from BOW-Tiful. Is it BOW-Tiful?
BOW-Tiful or BOW-Tiful?
BOW-Tiful.
Right. We've had this conversation in our office for so many times just to make sure that
BOW-Tiful. And is that because you started with bows?
Yeah.
That's what we thought. We thought it were, but we've got BOW-Tiful, BOW-Tiful, but we know it's with Kate. The walkies and weddings, and we're going to talk everything to do with pets at weddings today. Because I know we've chatted before, and there's some massive topics about hotels, any venue and what they'll actually allow in. But do you want to just give us a little rundown on what you do?
So we are a wedding pet chaperone and pet sitter. So we cover weddings basically from the night before right through till the morning after the wedding. So we pet sit, we chaperone, we cover meet and greeting the guests, we cover the ceremony, and we cover photographs.
Do it all.
So we do it all.
Yeah.
And we build a package around the venue, the couple, and what the dogs are capable of doing. So everyone is different.
Yeah, I know it's a massive thing into it at the minute, and we've come across this quite a lot. Of when they say they're dog friendly. Everybody's got a different opinion of dog friendly. So have you got some tips of what couples can ask, or what to look out for, and things they need to find out before they actually book the venue, or then they can contact you?
Yeah, so when we speak to all our couples, we always recommend that they have a chat with the venue anyway, because we're finding, as you said, this issue. So venues vary from dog friendly, meaning that they can go in the grounds.
Right.
Dog friendly means that they can go around the venue and the grounds, but they're not allowed in the ceremony room. There is restricted areas, so there might be areas where the couple can go and have photographs, but we can't take the dogs in those areas, so it restricts what photos the dogs can be in. And then it goes all the way through to people, dogs being allowed in the food areas. So the majority of venues that we work with say that if you're in your wedding breakfast, the dog can't be there because of health and safety regulations, which we understand.
Totally get that.
We always build that into the package, that when you're at the wedding breakfast, we take the dog a walk, we give them a bit of downtime, we have a break. So that doesn't really impact our day, but it's when they're wanting them to stay all day and they're not allowed in all the areas, or they want them to stay overnight and then the rooms aren't dog friendly, or there's only one particular room that's dog friendly but it's not suitable for the bride and groom, so then you're looking at the guests having to look after them, which is why we cover everything. So we work around the venue, but it's really important that you speak to your venue and ask them what level of dog friendly is, and get them to show them the areas of where they're allowed. We'll do the same anyway, but it can be make or break for a couple who book a wedding. We're finding that couples are going to venues asking if they're dog friendly, and they're saying yes or no, and then they're walking away because it's not suitable. So it's just a bit about being transparent as a venue, really, and saying, we are dog friendly, we allow this. They can come here, getting it on the website, putting pictures on, and showing everybody what they can do. So it's not down to chance and being left. So
it's like you say, it's different levels of pet friendly. Because I guess a couple will go, it's pet friendly, And so I would think, oh, well, I'm getting married here, they're going to let me take my dog.
Take my dog anywhere.
Take my dog anywhere.
Yeah.
And then when they get to it, and they might not have delved that bit deeper, suddenly they find out that dogs are only allowed in the garden, but they class that as pet friendly.
Yeah, we very rarely we get a venue that allows a dog all day in every area. So you know, there are venues out there that'll say we don't mind them being in the restaurant if they're well behaved.
Yeah.
But obviously then you've got to determine that dog and whether that dog's well behaved, and that's down to us, you see, to determine that. So you don't want a dog like a boxer or something running around.
Like a spaniel.
Spaniel. So you've got to bear that in mind. But we work with the venue, so we adapt our packages around it. But from a couple's point of view, if you want your dog at a wedding, you need to do your research on the venue and make sure that they're to the level that you want, so it doesn't spoil your day really.
What? Sorry.
I was just going to say they're a big part of the family. You know, they're like your fur babies, aren't they? So you kind of, it is a make or break decision if the venue doesn't allow dogs in every single area. You know, I mean I can't have pets because my husband is deathly allergic, but damn. Right, wrong place. If I did have one, I would want it with me there on the day in the photos and all that sort of stuff. So it is. They're a part of family, aren't they?
Yeah. Do you know, like, going back to venues then, do you find that every venue is totally different, or do you find a set trend? So most venues will accept, say, they can go in the grounds and maybe in the, do you know, when they're sort of doing the vows, but they won't let them in for the wedding breakfast, but then they'll let them into a certain room. Is there like a standard, or you find that there's a common pattern to where they're allowed?
The most common pattern that we find is venues allow them up to the wedding breakfast, so they can be in the ceremony. The biggest stipulation is it's not always the ceremony room or the venue that stipulate that they can be in there. Sometimes the registrars will turn around and say, we can't have the dogs in, we don't want the dogs as part of the wedding.
Right.
So, you know, it's not just the venue, even though the venue are fully dog friendly, we get some registrars that will say, no, we can't have them.
Why is that?
I don't know, we've had a few lately where we've wanted to put the dogs into the ceremony and the registrar's been contacted and said, no, they don't allow it, we're not having
didn't know
them
they
in
could
there.
have that much.
No, I didn't hear that say, because
So,
it's at the venue, isn't
whether it be allergic reasons or what, but we've just found that they've not been allowed. So during that time we'd walk around the venue and entertain them, but no, it's half an hour for most ceremonies, so it's not a massive issue, but it is to a couple that's had this vision of having the dog ring bearing and walking down the aisle or being a guest. So
you see it in so many photos and on videos on social media as well. But I think that's what a lot of couples have in mind, having the dog bring the rings down and be part of the ceremony bit. So it's a bit mad, isn't it?
I think it's a growing thing now with dogs at weddings. I've definitely noticed it, where you've got more couples when you look through social that's got the dogs there, they're having pictures with them. It's like you said, to some couples they're their babies. I think they're as big a part of the family as everybody.
I think we found that obviously since lockdown you've got a generation of dogs now that have never been in a kennel. You know, they've lived with close family and friends. You know, they might not have even been looked after by anybody other than the couple that own them. So when you come to a wedding, you've got that realisation at that point. Everybody I know is going to be at the wedding, so who's going to look after the dog? The dog's never been in a kennel. Do I want to use a kennel for the first time just for my wedding? You know, some kennels won't just take them for a day. They want them block bookings, and they book weeks, months in advance. So it's all that side of things. So that's why people are thinking, they're part of the family, I want them there, that they're my first child for some people. They are. So that's why they want them there. So that's why we do what we do. But wedding venue wise, I think the biggest stipulation is half day runs up to wedding breakfast. At that point, there are some venues that will say, bring them back after. You know, we don't mind. You walk around the venue while they're eating. They just can't go in that room where there's food. But the majority of venues do tend to cut off when the wedding breakfast is. A lot of couples are happy up until that point. You know, they don't even realise they can have them back. So we obviously at that point give them incentives and say, this is what else you can do in the afternoon with the dogs. But there's a few that allow them to stay over, but the majority do cut off quite early.
I'd have thought, as a couple, I get the ceremony, I get up to the pictures, but at that point everybody then is starting to get into party mode. So the dog, as much as you love the dog, at that point they probably don't want them there, or it's a good time to go you're best off not having your dog now. You enjoy your wedding, we can take them and look after them and bring them back the next day.
Yeah, we do get that. I mean, obviously there's quite a lot of people that don't get married close to home, so they're going over there and they're taking a dog with them, for example. They don't want the dog travelling all the way back home again. So we do have some where they might only have them till the wedding breakfast, but they can stay local at a dog-friendly hotel, or that venue might have a room that they can stay in. But that's why we pet sit, so we adapt it to them depending on what they want. But if they want them back, then we do twilight shots with them in the evening. You get different light in the evening. And the other thing that we opt for is a lot of couples have extra guests coming in the evening, so we can do the guest meeting and greeting again. It's a lot more relaxed.
Meet and greet.
So that's what we do. I mean, in the morning, what we do is we'll get there an hour before. We'll do a meet and greet with all the guests. So that alleviates stress on the dogs, because the dogs have met everybody then, and they're like, all the hyperactivities out of the way in the first hour. We show them around the venue. We show them the ceremony room if they're involved in the ceremony. All that is one, to kind of wear them out a bit, but also so they familiarise themselves. What we don't want to do is walking them down the aisle and they've never been in there.
It's so many senses.
There's too many senses, and a dog-friendly venue will smell of dogs, so they need time to kind of go, what's that kind of thing. So we do all that, but then in the afternoon it's much more relaxed. Everything official is out of the way, they've had the dinner, everybody's a bit more chilled out, so they want that time with the dogs. So we are finding people do want the dogs back, and they do want to capture those extra shots, but they also want their evening guests to experience what the first guests experienced of the meet and greets, and it gives them a bit more time with their dogs. They're the most important things at the wedding. She's been done.
But then mother of the bride now, it's let's see the dog, let's see the bride, and forget mother of the bride.
I'm not bothered about anybody but the dogs at the wedding.
What a question then, because I'm going to guess like a lot of dogs are quite nervous.
Yes.
Because they've obviously, like you said, lockdown, a lot of them have never been left. So when you get the dog, I'm guessing you have to do a lot of work to maybe get them calm and get them ready for it.
I mean, we do a consultation process. So before any wedding that we attend, whether it be a year, 2 years, or even a few months, what we do is we speak to the client over the phone first and do a telephone consultation where we take all the details about the wedding and how they want to involve their dog in their itinerary. So we get all the timings and build them a package based on what the venue allows, what dog they've got, what age the dog is, and what they're after. We then send them over a quotation, but then after they say that they want to go ahead, we'll go and meet the dog and do a face-to-face meeting. What we do at that point is we fill in our forms, which has got everything dog related. So we take everything about the vets, about the health, about what they eat, about their nature, what they like with people, kids, other dogs, everything. We do a full breakdown of everything, so we've got a good history of the dog. We then take that away and advise them, okay, based on what your dog's like, we'll come back and do a familiarisation walk 2-3 weeks before the wedding. If it's a nervous dog, we'll say, take them to the venue, get them used to the venue, take them out with the photographer, get them used to the photographer. We'll book another visit in before, and we build that relationship with the dog to make sure that that dog knows us, because if they're handled by somebody they know and they're comfortable with, it doesn't matter where they are, because they've got somebody that they trust at the side of them. But then the hour before is the ultimate, that hour before pays dividends. If people want the dog after the ceremony, we don't get that hour before. They turn up for photos and they don't have that hour around the venue getting used to it, and we've found a massive difference having them there for that hour, not having them there for that hour, because it just alleviates so much stress on the dog, and it tires them out, so they're a lot calmer.
You don't want to get a dog. I mean, it goes to the thing of why you don't have a family member looking after them. Because you know, if Uncle Joe's looking after them and later on he's wanting a drink, the dog's not even going to be thought about, is it?
Absolutely. And to be fair, there's a lot of venues now that will say, yes, we're dog friendly, but we want a professional looking after that dog, because it's okay having a family member looking after them, but what you find is that dog then gets passed to somebody else while they go to the toilet and they don't come back, or they go for a drink. Then there's the whole wedding breakfast issue. You know, we've had dogs sat in offices for a few hours because there's been nobody to look after them, and then they've not gone back and got the dog. You know, so we've it's not just about what the couple want. They've got to think about the dog's health and safety and welfare. And if there's somebody there that is all about the dog, they enjoy their day, get to enjoy the dog being there, but they don't have to worry. You know, and we don't take any dogs off lead. We don't have the rapport with the dog. You know, if we're dog walking them for months, then we build up that rapport that we can take them off lead and have that recall. But you're in a strange environment with lots of people, lots of risks, wild animals about. So we always say they're on a lead with us and we'll look after them. And that's how we do it, because they're our priority at the end of the day.
So, being at loads of, everybody's got dogs nowadays, what do you do then? Because if you've got a wedding party and you're looking after the bride and groom's dogs, do you ever get like, do people obviously need to take into account guests as well? Because you know, there's a lot of people have dogs. Can you do like multiple bookings all in one? So does it calm them?
We've done various options. So you know, we've got dogs where they've grown up with mum and dad and then moved in with the couple, so they're a family dog. So you know, they've then got another dog and there's multiple dogs in the family. Some dogs will be just in the ceremony, but others will want pet sitting. So what we say is, as a general rule, we will look after all the dogs. We don't mind how many there are, we'll just put the people in. We handle 2 each, so there's control in the wedding. But what we say is, if you've got multiple dogs that need looking after, they all have to get on. That's the one stipulation.
Totally get that.
Now, if they're family dogs, great, because the majority have been out and seen each other and stuff. But there needs to be a home that they're all comfortable in. We won't have them at the venue. It's too much on the venue. So what we say is, yes, we can take your dog to the wedding, but if you've got 2-3 dogs at home and they all need looking after, we will go home, we'll look after them overnight again, all in one place, and we'll look after them until the next morning. We're quite happy to do that, because again, they've not been in kennels either, so you know, it's not just about the dog that's at the wedding, it's about all the family dogs, but they must get on for us to be able to do that.
Do you ever have it then? So I'm referring to my dogs now, because at the best of time, the breed of them, they look scruffy, right? Do you ever get it where people ask you to maybe get the dog groomed beforehand?
Occasionally, I mean, we aren't groomers, so we don't pretend to try and do something that we're not qualified to do. But I mean, we have had occasions where they've said, do you want, you know, can you take the dog to the groomers? Now, what we always say is, there's enough going on a wedding day without putting the dogs through a trauma of going to the groomers. So groom them a couple of days before, but on the day, we'll brush them, you know, we'll have a brush on us, or we'll take their brush with us, we'll give them a quick tidy up on the day. We've always got stuff in the van, towels, you know, we've got a mud daddy that cleans dogs, you know, properly, so we've got everything in there, so if they jump in a puddle, you know, we can clean them. But grooming wise, it's too traumatic to take them to the groomers in the morning and then do the wedding, so we say day 2 before, get them professionally done, and we'll just titubate them, really.
I think that's what I was going to ask. So is there ever a point where you've had a couple that's come to you and you've kind of made a decision not to sort of look after their dog, you know, whether the dog's so ill or if the dog's super nervous so it just wouldn't work? Have you ever advised that you can't?
Yes. Because
surely there are going to be some couples that are, in their eyes, their dog can do no wrong. But it's not been trained properly, it's not toilet trained, or it's really old, or it's got lots of health problems. So is there a point where you'd have to say, look, I advise you don't involve your dog because it's going to be too much stress?
I mean, we've had dogs where aggression is a problem. I mean, from a business point of view, across everything we do, because I dog walk as well and you know, do drop-in visits. So from that point of view, an aggressive dog is a no-no. It's you know, they might build up a relationship with me and become less aggressive with me, but you've got staff, you've got family, you've got kids, you've got people that, if they turn on those, it's us and it's that couple's day ruined. So, you know, if they're aggressive, we say it can't happen. We will happily work with every dog. We never turn a dog away. We always say, if you're worried about your dog, either you think it's going to be a problem or what you're telling me, I think it's going to be a problem. Let's jump straight to a face-to-face meeting. Let me meet the dog. Let's see what we can do. You know, the majority of couples are getting married 2-3 years in advance. If we can put them in touch with a behaviourist or give them dog training, we'll do that. We don't want to turn them away. It's their dream to have their dog there. but it also benefits them anyway. So if there are issues with the dogs, we'll say, put this in place, do this, you know, anything we can kind of improve that dog's life anyway, we'll do it. So there's not many that's been turned down, probably 1 or 2. But old dogs that have got injuries, we adapt our packages to suit. So, you know, we won't offer a full day package for a really old dog. We'll say they can do the photos, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll do our best on the day, and they're happy with that. It's a memory for an old dog to have the pictures, so you know, we adapt it to suit them really.
So do you do, obviously venues, a lot of people can get married at the venue. Do you do churches? What about if somebody wants a dog at church? Is that more feasible?
That, to be fair, that is actually becoming more popular over the next year or so. Taking church weddings, so it all depends on the church and what they allow, but we are finding that church weddings are coming back, and they're going and being part of the ceremony. Obviously a church wedding is a lot longer than a civil service, so you know, from half an hour to an hour now. So we kind of always have an escape plan, so if they're involved in the that's what we call it. We have a plan, we have a backup plan, and we have an escape plan. So that's what we do, and we make sure that the dogs are happy. So I mean, we always make sure that there's somewhere of getting them out of the ceremony if there's a problem. We have an ideal plan, and if that can't go to plan, then we have a backup plan. So we have various plans. It's a proper proper training plan. But we do that. But ceremony wise, they'll get married there. They'll have photos outside in the grounds, and then they'll go somewhere for the rest of the service. So you know, they'll have the meal somewhere else. So we say, speak to the church. If they're allowed at the church, we're in. Speak to the ceremony, the venue. If they're in, they're in. You know, we do it all. We do all the transportation in between. So majority of people get churches close to their home, and then find a venue not too far. So, but even then, we've got crash-tested crates in the back of our van, so we can take them wherever really. So we're happy to travel. What's
the biggest dog that you've dog sit for a wedding, and what's the smallest?
The smallest will have been a toy chihuahua.
And what's that? I'm talking
probably about that big,
right,
a tiny thing, and then the biggest one, I've recently done a German Shepherd cross with a Husky.
Oh, I bet that was nice.
Oh yeah, she was stunning, absolutely stunning dog.
Blue eyes.
Yeah, beautiful dog. Yeah, gorgeous cow. But I've actually coming up, I've got 3 Huskies.
At a wedding.
At a wedding. So imagine the dog hair.
You've just been covered.
I chose black as a uniform, really bad. So I had to save all them up, but it doesn't.
Can't you adapt it, like have a tone from white to black?
I think so, depending on the dog. So lid rollers are my best friends.
You don't even think of that, do you?
No.
Dog hair stunned. But
well, that's my job, to be covered in dog hair. As long as you don't go near the bride, it's fine. But you're forever like.
So, do the brides ever worry about a certain thing with the dog?
Yeah, I mean, when we get couples coming to us at wedding shows and coming to talk to us, we always get the same kind of things. I'm petrified the dog's going to jump up my dress. I'm petrified that somebody's going to jump up somebody else, or we walking down the aisle. They're the classics.
So excited.
They are, they're the classics. At the end of the day, people can love their dogs, and you know, a lot of people out there think that the dogs are the best thing and that they can't do anything wrong. But there's a lot of people that have got their head screwed on and say, my dog's nuts. There's no way that my dog could be at my wedding as much as I'd like it. But we say, have a chat with us. Let's meet your dog. You know, we don't let the dogs jump up at the brides. We keep everybody on a short lead and make sure that they're controlled. We never approach guests, so even though we're doing the meeting and greeting and we're mingling during the drinks and canapes, we're at a distance, so we let people come to us. And we always say to our bride and groom, anybody that's allergic, let us know. Anybody that's scared, let us know. Make sure all the kids are aware that we're there on a professional level. They're welcome to come over, but you know, if there's a problem, mum and dad need to be made aware that there's a live dog there that could obviously react bad. But dog wise jumping up, we always keep everybody at distance and let people come over one by one and make sure that it's controlled.
Have you ever had a dog that's tried to cock its leg?
No. Well, that's
a do it.
Totally.
But
that's what the hours.
Things, dogs.
Well, that's what the hours for. So we make sure they've been to the toilet and they've done everything, and then we take them in. But I mean, you know, there's flowers. there's flowers down the aisle, they're going to have a sniff, aren't they?
Yeah.
The biggest thing that everybody needs to be aware of, if they're having the dog walk down the aisle, candles on the floor are no.
If you've got, especially like my stepdaughter, she's got a spaniel that's got its feathery tail as well. That'd just be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, and they sniff it. You can stick the nose in it, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's scary.
That's a good point, that. It's,
Candles
down aisles.
Candles down aisles and canapes on sticks. They're the two biggest things that we have at weddings. So when the venues are bringing canapes out and they're having things on sticks and couples or family members drop them on the floor because they've had a drink, massive risk.
Yeah.
So we scour the floor constantly, making sure there's nothing on the floor. But a dog can sniff a canapé 1,000 yards. They'll find it, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that canapes on sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to get to it before they do.
Yeah.
There was a dog at a wedding a few days ago, and there was like a stand in this area, seating area outside, and it looked like a barbecue stand, so they had like certain shelves on it where they put obviously like a pizza oven or something on top of it. And this dog was sniffing this stand, like there was nothing there as far as I could see. And right in the corner behind the leg was a canapé stick. And this dog would not leave this I'd fish it out and take it to the bin so move on. So yeah, they find them.
They do.
Yeah,
I know where they are.
Yeah.
What is the most skitty dogs, breed-wise, that you found at weddings?
French bulldogs.
Is it French bulldogs?
French bulldogs we find are very stubborn, pig-headed, ignorant. They do what they want to do and they don't care what you're telling them. If you've got food or a ball, majority of Frenchies love food, so you find that you can get their attention, but yeah, if there's more than one person talking to them, they're just not bothered, they're just in their own little world, and very excitable and stuff. So yeah, Frenchies are crazy dogs at weddings, but they take the great pictures, so yeah.
So what if they're the craziest, what's the best ones you've ever looked after?
Surprisingly, spaniels.
Really?
As nuts as they are, because they love the stimulation, they tire quickly because it's such a mental stimulation for every dog that does a wedding. They thrive on it, they love the attention, they love being in the thick of all the family, they're constantly wagging the tail, they're just not fazed by it. So even though they're excited, there's no nerves with a Cocker Spaniel. So, and you get the most amazing pictures.
Yeah.
So,
they're very beautiful.
They are beautiful.
Spaniels.
Well, I'm biased because I've got two, but
all the family's got spaniels.
Cocker Spaniels, Springer Spaniels, even Cockapoos, all that kind of nature. They just love it at weddings, to be fair.
Is that your new pup then?
My new pup's a Cocker Spaniel.
Oh.
We
need photos.
I'll send us a picture of
this
new pup. How old?
He's 15 weeks now.
Oh,
he's
still really cute and
into everything. Choose everything. Yeah. Anything on the floor is free game, so we're like baby improving all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I love them. I'm going to ask you one, right? Have you got any stories you could tell us that's happened at weddings where a dog has ended up being the centre of attention because of something it's done?
Yes. So when right back in the early days when we first started and we were kind of learning the ropes of venues and what dogs did and everything, we had a lovely little beagle that we took to a wedding, and as you know, beagles can be quite vocal. Bride and groom were an older couple that that were marrying again, and she was very nervous bride, beautiful lady, and she was so nervous. And I remember seeing her just before the wedding. What we tend to do is stay away from the bride before the wedding. We hang around with the groom and the groomsmen and the family, and it's very occasional that we'll see the bride before, but we always try and be in a position where as she's walking in she gets a glimpse of the dog if she wants to. And she walked out and she saw the dog and she burst into tears, and I was like, I've done the right thing here. Anyway, she saw her and she was like a bit more composed, and she went down, and the dog was a guest at the back of the room, so after she walked in we stood at the back. Ever so good, sat there lovely, he was having some chicken and some sausage, and he was sat really happy that we kept looking at him, and they started talking and doing the vows. And just when the registrar said, does anybody know a reason why these two should not get married, he howled. And everybody burst into laughter. But the bride, she came out afterwards, and she came out and she was like, Kate, that was amazing. I don't know how you got him to do that on cue, but he just completely got rid of all my anxiousness. And it just happened at the right time. I was like, I didn't do anything. just take ownership. Yeah, planned everything. So it was like, yeah. So that was like, it was really funny. And I was like, if dogs bark, it just happens.
Yeah.
And, the guests understand it. And from then, I've been like, if they bark, just laugh it off. And just continue. So.
Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah.
I think though, if dogs bark, if you've got a dog that barks and a bark at a wedding, it's not like a surprise that your dog suddenly started barking.
No. I mean, and that's the difference with a guest looking after them. Obviously, the guest is not going to get up and walk out the room with the dog if it's barking. It's going to spoil. Whereas we will leave, like family whose babies are crying, they'll get up and leave. They don't stay in the wedding while the vows are happening. So, yeah, I mean, a dog barking, great. It's when a dog continues to bark or howls or cries, whatever it does, and you don't leave. But to be honest, the majority of dogs that we've looked after have been really good. When we've made a plan, we've never really had to deviate from that plan. They're happy because there were people they know, and they've seen everybody by then, so they just chilled. But that dog was attention. That dog was good.
Love attention dogs.
But it was a proper howl. It was brilliant. It was really good.
My son, when he was little bit of a nutcase when I was a kid, we were at a wedding and we sat at the back and they said, does anybody know a reason why this man and woman shouldn't marry? And my son went, yeah! So we just think, I can't believe he's just said that.
I've got something to say.
Well, Vicky went, I think we can pass on that one, chaps, and carried on. But we just think all the points. But everybody laughs, like you said.
They laugh it off.
That's it. But so no disasters. No. We love that. Have you got any questions, Tasha?
I want to see your dog next time. Send me pictures. And no, I think that's pretty much everything. We could talk about dogs and pets at weddings all day.
I'm going to go on to the bow ties actually before we finish, because did you start off doing bows?
Yes. So initially I started doing bows, went into the wedding sector for bows and bandanas. I actually made a tuxedo harness that I've not got with me today, but it won an award. Because I designed it myself, and it's ring bearer tuxedo harness, so they can have the rings attached in a little bag and walk down the aisle, but it's a proper harness, so it's not just something flimsy. They can keep it on and wear it permanently. So, but I make everything. Every package that I do, I always include a flower or a bow in their colour scheme to match the size of the dog, so that's always included. But then they can upgrade to slogan bandanas, tuxedos, anything they want really. So,
let's have the date and the couple's name on both.
Well, we do the ring bearer bows, so we do like the clip on the bows, but we also personalise them. So we've had quite a few couples that have had I do too, and then their wedding day. So it's really nice. But
that's great.
Fabulous.
Well, thank you very much, Kate.
You're very welcome.
You've been a
Thank
star.
you for having me.
We always love to talk about dogs. So
hopefully we can bring some real dogs.
Fingers crossed.
I'm trying my hardest. Thanks a lot,
Thank
Kate.
you. We hope you enjoyed episode 4 of WEDPOD. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you for the final episode of season 1.